We need it done this year.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob. I'm Spencer.
Dan, I guess.
Ooh, all right. This is Board Game Rundown. Today we're going to do a topic discussion. Spencer brought up this topic, and I have a feeling I know why. You've been playing a lot of games with your kids lately.
Yep.
I do that as well. So we're basically going to discuss if you change the rules to games based on who you're playing.
I don't think this is going to be a super long episode.
Well, and also like how would you,
Of course.
if you do. I will say we're not going to limit it to just kids
No,
because
not
I
just
feel
kids.
like we each can have some feelings and points for, both sides. But I think what we'll do is we'll just start and we'll go around, right? So I will start with you, Spencer, and
Sure.
we'll just say we'll start with kids and then we'll work. We will then talk about other people. We'll just break it into two parts. Let us know what you think.
All right.
Fire away.
Well, I am not an advocate for just purposefully losing so your kid, is always winning. They need to learn how to lose and how to lose gracefully. But if they always lose the game, they will not only stop playing the game, they will just stop playing games with you. And if you crush them, that's not any better. And sometimes, you don't want to have a crying child just all the time.
Weirdo.
So
Worst.
I came up with some ideas of how I can change a couple of games to accommodate my 6-year-old. For instance, we were just playing Dice Miner, and my 6-year-old is half the age of the recommended age for the game. So he can kind of sort of pick up how to do it, but he has no concept of strategy. So my idea is, if I'm playing, can I help him win? Instead of me trying to win, I want to see, because it'd be me, my daughter, and my son, I want to see if I can help him beat my daughter. So it's a different way
Now,
of
now,
winning.
how do you do that? Just by telling him what to do?
No, not just by
Okay.
telling what to do, but for instance, in Dice Miner in particular, you can only draft from the very top die. So I might draft a die that I really don't want because the next one that he can take is really good for him.
But you need to just hope that he then chooses to take that die, correct?
Usually. I mean, sometimes they need a little push to understand what to
Oh,
do. things
totally
like
fair.
that.
Yeah.
That does semi go into what you were mentioning earlier, too, about not purposely losing, though. Because you're
right,
tanking your score.
Well, in this case, it's not about me trying to lose. It's not
It's
about me
it's
trying
that
to
he
win.
has a hidden objective card,
Exactly.
which is for
I
Sam
have a
to
different
win.
goal.
Sure, 100%.
Exactly, and I thought that was an interesting way of doing it, having a different goal. The only other way I've seen this
Hidden traitor.
in Trader.
I betrayed myself.
To me?
Well, I was also thinking about it, and the classic game of Go has a built-in handicap mechanic. If you are playing against a Grandmaster in Go, you're not necessarily going to lose because the Grandmaster is going to start placing down certain stones depending on how different your experiences are. So I've never played Go. He might put down 4 or 5 stones, and I might win. But obviously, he's given himself a massive handicap. So I was like, if I play Race to the Galaxy again with you guys, not wanting to get it so you never want to play with me again, at the beginning of Race to the Galaxy, you have you draw 6 cards and you pick 4 of them to keep. Maybe I don't draw any cards.
Oh, sure.
That gives me like a 2-turn disadvantage against everyone else.
Okay.
And then it's not so much about me winning as much as it is about me overcoming that hardship.
Right. Yeah, and there's positives in that alone, right? Like you're not just. I mean, yeah. I mean, that is almost like when you're playing a solo mode and you're, and you're, because when you play like a solo of Terraforming Mars and you're just going against, basically you're going against the clock. You've got X amount of turns to get everything, all the levels to where they need to be. So that's not that different conceptually. Spiritually, it's pretty similar. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, you're basically talking about built-in handicaps that everyone are aware of at the beginning of the game. And you're just like, hey, we're gonna play with this because this will make it more fair and fun.
Yeah,
Right.
and there are ways to do it at the beginning of the game. There are ways to do it at the end of the game.
And that's also
Depends on the
assuming
game.
that you are the kind of person, and not just you, Royal you, are the kind of person that actually likes a challenge in a game and doesn't just
Yes.
only play to destroy everyone as much as they possibly can. Because as much as we give Bob a hard time about like whooping on us, I know he does not revel in that. He just has the one gear.
He's just,
I would much rather have you guys have a good time and want to play again
Yeah.
than me to stomp you once and never get to play again.
Well, but again, I give you a hard time about it sometimes, but I know you're not doing it to be a jerk. I know where, your heart's in the right place.
I
You just
also
can't help
always,
yourself.
I always off topic, but I always, literally topic. I always just want to remind you, Bob, that while I joke all the time about that actually literally doesn't bother me at all. I will never bring up, well, I was destroyed, I don't want to play the game again, or like Bob, destroyed us while he was teaching us and it ruined the game. I don't care about that at all. Play your best. And if I lose, if I don't like a thing, it's because there's something I don't like about the game, is what I'm saying, and not the teaching. I want that to be on
I don't
the
know.
table.
On the record.
I've been taught games, not by Bob, that I hated because of the teacher.
Yeah,
and the
but
way that it went.
Yeah, that's
And then
possible.
years later played it and we're like, oh, this is actually a good game. Like, it was just the person I was playing with ruined my experience.
I don't know. I've never had to where because I've had stuff like that, but it's never been down to like that they won and stuff, and that they destroyed me and didn't take it easy. Oh, they didn't teach it well enough or something. Like that kind of stuff happens all the time. But yeah, I've never had that.
Well,
Yeah. Oh, no, I've had people totally destroy an experience
Yeah,
with a game.
I've had people who were very experienced in a game and they knew a specific mechanic very well that they can abuse, and I have no idea that it's even abusable.
Sure, but again, that
That
comes
sort of
down to
thing
bad
is-
teaching to me, and not just that they won. Right? That comes down to how they won. The backstory behind that matters more. Is all I'm trying to say.
Sure. So anyways, with your kids, you've got a couple ideas there, right? As far as like ramping up a personal challenge, so you're not even really softening the rules as much as you are making the game more difficult for
For me.
yourself.
Exactly. I want my kids to be able to play the game as it was intended as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I want them to have a good time. And I don't mind losing to my kids. I also don't mind having a good challenge. If I win against them, it's going to be a close game. And that's what I want. I don't
Yeah.
want to crush them.
Now, so we'll go into playing with people that aren't your kids, and you kind of touched on it with Race to the Galaxy,
Yes.
right? So you handicap yourself, which I think within reason, right? And I wouldn't even call handicap. Sometimes it's like you can choose to just play a game a little bit differently. Like there's times where when I play a game that I played a lot with new people, or even maybe just once or twice, I will just try a different strategy,
Oh,
like
yeah.
completely, right? Like I've never been able
That's
to.
a legit way I feel to kind of handicap.
never
yourself.
been able
Just
to
try
get
something
this
different. Don't do
to
your normal
work.
strat. Yeah.
Right. I've never gone after this before, so I'm not going to be very good at it. So I'll try going after that.
Right.
And then, of
that
course,
kind of
it
thing.
turns out you're really, really good at it.
Right. Whoops.
Can be, could be, yeah, it could be. But no, I think
But
those
what's high
are.
score mean?
Well, like in the past, when I'd be playing San Juan, you start off with an indigo plant, but I wouldn't do that for myself. Or when you're playing Race to the Galaxy, I would just randomly choose 4 cards
Yeah.
instead of actually having to
Instead of
pick.
a draft
But
thing.
I understand I'm very good at that game, and it's not enough of a handicap most of the time. So I was
Sure.
like, how else can I help? Because I want. That's a game where you have to play it more than once to really understand the strategy.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I don't want to turn people off to that immediately.
sure.
So.
And I think if Race, so like the only bad thing about Race for the Galaxy is you're right. The first time you play it, you're like, and then by the end of it, you're like, oh, now I
Now
get
I know
it.
what I should have done.
Right.
Exactly.
But sometimes Race for the Galaxy can take so long that you're not just going to turn around and play it again. Where some of the games are, that where that happens are faster. So, like Cat in the Box, for example. Like if we had more time when we played Cat in the Box, maybe if Dan didn't hate trick-taking games and we had more time, be like, well, let's play one more time and just see what happens.
Right.
Because now,
You understand the concept a little bit more.
Right.
How it works with
Yeah.
everything else.
right.
Yeah.
But because there's definitely games where it's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they take too, I shouldn't say they take too long. It's the natural length of the game
Yes.
does not necessarily, allow for that to happen.
Yeah, what normally happens in the game is I will realize one turn late that I did something wrong. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. I totally get it. Dan,
So
you don't have any kids.
I'm the outlier here.
completely.
So not only do I not have kids,
Oh, don't change the rule. Dan will kill you.
yeah, play right, darn it. So also though, I will say though that obviously in my family group, right, I have to teach games constantly. And a lot of them are like not kids, obviously, right? But they are so new to the hobby that sometimes it feels like you're showing something to a kid because they just don't understand what you're talking about. Like
New
you'll try,
concepts.
yeah, you'll try to explain what drafting is, and they're like, "Whoa, this is crazy! Like this brand new thing." You're just like, "This is so basic to me,"
Yeah,
but it's because you have such a
You sit down with
backstory.
us and you're like, okay, this is drafting, dice management, you know,
Well, yeah, I
worker
would say this
placement.
is-
We're like, oh, okay, cool.
Well, I'd say like this is drafting. You'd be like, you mean like drafting before the year 2015 or like modern drafting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that kind of thing. So sometimes it can feel like you're introducing this brand new thing to people. But and to go a little bit off of you, because I'm gonna kind of agree with a sentence that you said and then take it even further, honestly. But obviously, there's an age cutoff. Obviously, if you're playing with really, really young kids, you're not trying to teach them how to play a game. You're trying to have fun with your kid.
Yes,
Like there's an
exactly.
age cutoff thing there. Eventually, though, your kid gets to an age where they start understanding, how life works, and that there's right and there's wrong, and they start understanding these basic things. And I think at that point, if you're playing a game with them, it's because you're playing a game with them, right? And you're not just like, I want to hang out with my kid today. You're trying to have this experience. And that is where I start my opinion, because that's where I've never had to play with such a young
Well,
person.
Like I started to play Star Realms with my daughter, and she understandably is not very good. So the way the app works is it's pass and play. It just changes what's on the screen. So I'm like,
Oh.
watch what I do, so that you know what are good strategies.
Sure. I just say that for the most part, again, I'm not a parent. I'm going to be talking judgmentally and ignorantly, because that's what I have to do in this conversation.
or what you do every day.
Yeah.
I won't argue that.
That's just
And then you guys can full on judge me and say that I'm totally wrong and stuff. But like the way that I look at things is, when it comes to teaching your kid a game, again, there's an age cutoff, but you're as a parent, I just say it is not your responsibility to teach your kid how to win incorrectly. It is your job to teach your kid that it's okay to lose, and that maybe you'll get them next time to try again. Like that's your job. And if you are constantly changing rules and playing wrong so that you win, even up to adulthood, because I see people do that, you're doing a disservice to yourself. Like you're cheating. How does it feel good? If someone rolls a die in a game, and it's like, oh, I think that's this, and someone says, no, that's not that, and the person goes, who cares? It's the last round of the game. We'll just say it's this. You have done a massive disservice to everyone playing at that table. And I take that all the way down to when you're first teaching a kid a game, is that they need to understand that we lost. Good job, buddy. We tried really hard. It is more important to try than to win. Is just how I look at life in general. Do your best, and if you don't win, you deserved, the best that you got, right? You didn't cheat into a victory, right? Man, I heard a quote recently that literally has to do perfectly like this, which was something along the lines of, I would rather lose with honor than win with like
Winning.
Shame. Or
yeah,
something.
something like that, right? And that's like who I am as a person. And so when it comes to this topic, as outlandish as it is, that is how I feel. I will play with a kid and I will lose. And like then to your point is like, well, I don't want them to like hate the game. Like you mentioned something like that. And I don't know, to me it's just like it's okay if they hate the game. I'll find a different game that they do like. That kind of thing. Like that's just how I am. I understand that you have a limited amount of games and you need to play them with your kid. Yeah, and so obviously again, I'm talking from an outside perspective here, which is kind of nice, I guess. I mean, Bob, you're going to kind of be in the middle ground here.
Yeah.
So so it's kind of nice to have such an outlandish outside perspective compared to these two.
In the same vein as what you were saying, I find having a cooperative game where you win and lose together helps mitigate
Sure.
those feelings of badness, because
Right.
they're not the only one who loses.
Yeah,
we
we
all
all
lost.
lost.
Game
Yeah.
one.
Well, right, and
Try
that
that.
that is a great thing to do. I mean, that's again though, just like when I was talking about when you even take that to adults, though, that's just a great way to get anyone into the hobby.
Yeah.
It's to
and then you
start.
start semi-cooperative.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you've gone too far.
You go from
That's it.
Pandemic straight to Battlestar Galactica, and you're just like, I will betray you.
Trust no
Yeah,
one.
your father figure.
The day is coming when I can just add my daughter in the back.
But yeah, so I don't exactly know what else to add. I'm kind of here to bounce ideas off of
No,
you guys,
no, I
because that's
mean-
what this is for.
because that is just how I look at things. Is
Well,
that it's okay to lose.
And that, well, you're 100% right.
Yep.
We all also do have, while all of our gaming philosophies are a Venn diagram, right? Where we've got our own outlying things and then a lot of overlap.
Sure.
Right.
Which is why we get along so well. But we're also very comfortable having our own opinions and expressing those. So for me, since we're just going to go in order,
Okay.
for the most part, I do not change rules for the kids. Like, so Clark is my 5-year-old. We were playing King of Tokyo. My wife, my 10-year-old, and I. Clark wants to play. Clark is basically my character, and I'm like, roll the dice. What do we? These are what the dice do. What are we doing with them, bud?
Yeah.
Like, and I just let him go,
That's a
right?
good way to
You
do
know,
it.
boom, boom, boom. You know, I let him make decisions. Now I tell him, you know, I might go. So if we do this or this, you know, maybe we're gonna hit mom. You know, or, you know,
Yeah, spell out the decision so it's
a
really
l-
easy.
right, a little bit, right? And then with Mallory, like she's old enough now where I just kind of am like she might do something and I'll be like, that's not great, but I'll say, hey, just so you know, like if you do this, this could happen. And
Right.
she might go, no, I want to do this. I'm like, hey, cool, boom, let's do it. And then
And in your head, you're like, you fool.
But Mallory's gotten to where she's pretty good about not always winning. We play like Llama and the dice game together,
Yep.
and those games I don't need. The only thing I might need to do is go, hey, remember this works like this.
Right.
But I don't have to change anything for her. She understands those. We play that Magic Mountain with the marble runs.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Her and Clark can both play that. You know, like no problem. Like I just supervise to make sure they don't start hitting each other halfway through
Right.
because they.
Don't move that one.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Now, when Mallory was younger and before I had Clark, we would play. She would want to play Takanoko with the little pandas. Now that was like, there's no way she's going to grasp actually what these do. So we just kind of played a little co-op-y kind of thing where we rolled the dice and we just created things. So we still use the mechanics of the game, the way they work, but we weren't really playing competitively as much as we are just
Seeing what you could
playing through the rules and building up the bamboo and moving the pandas around. So not really playing the game, but playing the game. And it's kind of a toyetic kind of thing anyways, with lots of physical and interesting components.
Right.
So of course she's into it, right? And interested.
Plus, she's
And
learning a
once-
mechanic without knowing it.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. So, like we used to do that. We haven't tried, like we probably now are at the age where she could go back and actually try to play it. So that's sort of been my approach is when they have an interest, right? Like I've got the Ghostbusters Cryptozoic, board
Yep.
game. And that's a straight co-op.
Yeah.
Clark wanted to play. So what happens is we're running the characters. Clark gets bored, walks off. Well, now Mallory and I control those characters. And it's like, hey, buddy, do you want to shoot this guy or do you want to go over here and hit this guy? Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think the best way to say it is instead of like softening rules, is we just don't get into depth with the strategies. It's like, oh, you want to do this? Like, or cool, let's go over there, do that, roll the dice, see what happens.
That tends to be a loose version of just your personality playing games anyway. So,
depends on the game.
right.
Yeah, I like how you were saying you try to give them strategies that they can use. I'm like, I do that with just if I'm playing any game with anyone that's new, and they ask a question, I'm like, I will teach you how to beat me
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
time, and I will give you the best advice I can give you for you
Well,
at the moment.
I
That
like
way
to
it's even better when you still beat them.
Yes, it is so sweet.
I would say that I feel like we all of us here at this table do a really good job of when we're teaching games, we try to provide good advice without quarterbacking,
Yep.
without
yeah.
telling them what to do.
And that's one of the things I was gonna say, like, because I get kind of critiqued a lot because I'm always like trying to point out options to people, and like
Oh,
people
sure.
like they want to try to figure things out themselves, but I want to make sure that you see all your available options. I don't try to tell you what to do. Like you could do this, this will happen. You could do this, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. It's like make your decision.
Right. And, so with kids, it can be tricky sometimes, but I've thankfully been now in the hobby long enough and as my kids have gotten older and it's also going to be unique to each kid.
Sure.
And I've figured out now, like I know how to approach Mallory with this, and I know how to approach Clark with this. So I can go in and say, well, he's just going to want to do this. So I'm just going to go, hey, bud, like X, Y, and Z, which one do you want to do,
Yeah.
And then with Mallory, I can get a little bit deeper, but at the same time, she's going to do what she wants to do. And that's fine. And, sometimes we play co-op games. Sometimes we play the versus games, like King of Tokyo, things like that. And so, and then when it comes to playing like adults, like a game where I'm very experienced with, I don't want to say skilled, experienced with, right? So like Cthulhu Wars, right? We play Cthulhu Wars with a bunch of new people. There's one or two factions that I've never won with. Unless somebody really wants to play that one, I'll be that one. You
Right.
know, like, hey, I've never won with this one. I'm going to try really hard to win with this one, just so you know. But I'm really good with that one, and I can tell you exactly what you know.
Yeah, and
like,
that goes into what we said earlier, to where you're picking a strategy that you don't know
Yeah.
exactly how well you're going to do
And
with it
I
because it's a slight handicap.
And I love that challenge, though, right? Like, you know, just finding a new way to win in a game you really enjoy. DC Deck Builder, I will randomly pick my characters, you know what I mean, and things like that. I will go for different things just to try different strategies. Same thing with Marvel Legendary, you know, where that's a co-op, but like, if I'm playing with people that are new, you know, I pick an easier setup. You know, like something that's not just going to destroy you in 5 minutes. If I'm playing with you guys, or like when we play Marvel
Die.
Champions, it's like, let's ramp this up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, recently in an episode we talk about Planet Apocalypse, and you're like, well, it's more interesting if we can make it harder.
Yeah, no, that's
And
just how I
I
am.
100% agree. But also, like, we're playing with somebody I've never played a game before.
Sure.
So I have no idea
He's in
where his threshold
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
While that's true, he did say before we started playing, I like the game to be as hard as possible.
Yeah,
like
he
did
did.
say that.
He did.
We don't know where his hardest possible scales with ours. That's true.
right.
But he did at least have that mindset.
Right, because was it you and I were playing Ghost Stories, and we're just
yes.
getting brutalized by the
yeah,
game?
we played once together, so that's probably what
But
you're talking about.
right, we got brutalized by that game, but still I mean, I had a really good time playing it, and it's like
Sure.
I don't care, like this game. But you and I know our threshold for pain is like here, you know.
I want to inject something really quick because as it pertains to this conversation, I just wanted to mention because based on what I said during my little section and whatever might come up as we're bouncing off each other and Bob's stuff, as it pertains to this conversation, I mean a difference between changing rules and Jeez.
Softening them, not playing with all the advanced rules.
No, I can't think of the term right now where you you make up your own rules.
Oh, homebrew.
Home brewing,
Yeah.
yeah.
House rule, whatever.
House ruling. That's the actual term I was looking for, but I don't mean the same thing. There's a difference for me in this conversation between changing rules and house ruling because, again, as I've stated in the past, house ruling to me is something that you do once you fully understand a game just kind of for fun. Like, that is a house rule. It's not, wow, this game's hard because, like, oh, we're playing Dead of Winter. This red die you roll whenever you move makes the game really hard. We keep dying. Let's just house rule that we don't play with that. No, that ruins the game.
That is
like,
a fundamental mechanic that is in the game for a
That is
reason.
completely different to me. Like a classic example that I'll bring up right is I've played Robinson Crusoe 20 times. I've probably won 3 times. I have never changed a rule in Robinson Crusoe because it is super fun. It doesn't matter that I lose.
Yeah.
It is the climbing of the hill that feels important.
So
in
you know
that
what's
game.
funny?
Journey that is
This is
the
the
right.
first time I played Robinson Crusoe. It was an open game night, and I was playing with some people that I really like, and we lost.
Mhm.
Bad roll
Makes
of the
sense.
die. Bad roll of the die. We lost, and they go, let's pretend like that didn't happen, and let's
Sure.
keep going. I was miserable the next 3 turns until we lost again.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
like, so I agree. I mean, it's different when I'm playing with my kids.
Right.
You know, but even then, I think originally I was like content to be like, whatever, like we're just goofing around. But now, playing more and really wanting to teach them lessons, right? You know, like not like teach them a lesson, but teach them, losing. We're gonna lose games.
It happens.
You know, like if I beat Mallory and I, we played Llama twice in one night, and then it was starting to get late. She had to go to bed, but she won one and I won one, and she's like, "Well, now we've each won one, like." So we need to have and I was like, tiebreaker
Tiebreaker.
tomorrow. Like we'll
Right.
play again, tiebreaker tomorrow. But that's fine because she was good, you know, like she's still interested. You know, it's a game she knows how to play and she understands and stuff. And so, you know, we've been able to kind of cultivate and create those experiences. I mean, you can do it without being overbearing with the rules, you know, and just kind of reminding. You know, I think there was one time where, with Clark, it's just way different, you know, sometimes where it's like, oh, he might have been too far away to do what he just did. I'm just going to let that go because he's not going. By the time I reset everything, he's probably going to lose interest and walk away.
Yeah.
And he might lose interest and walk away in a minute anyways.
Yeah.
Well, and that's also why I say, again, from my ignorant perspective, there is clearly an age cutoff, too, to where, you know, Clark is still kind of in that age where you're there because you're playing a game with Clark.
Yeah.
That's why you're there.
Yeah.
Not because it's like, oh, this is gonna be a fun game we're doing.
Because you and I mean, all of us here have gone, oh, we did this wrong. We need to walk this back.
Right.
You know, like there's times where we have done
never
that.
gotten anything wrong in a game.
Right.
yeah.
Same. It's so weird.
I know, right?
So weird.
Yeah. You've definitely never been like, hey, can I undo that and take a different turn? Yeah.
So weird. But anyways, I think really that's pretty much what I got. I think, similar to Spencer, I like to add the challenge to myself when playing a game that I have a lot of experience with that other people do not. It doesn't always work. Sometimes you just you're like, nah, this strategy works too. And some games you just understand really well.
Sure.
And you see the matrix in it, right? You just pick it all apart.
What is it? There's a game that we've played together like 4 times.
Wonderful World.
No,
You can't
3
lose?
times we've played that skeleton area control game.
Oh, yeah. Court of the Dead.
Court of
Martyr's
the Dead.
Call.
We played 3 times. I've never lost, and I literally don't know why. It's a game that has just clicked with me for some reason. I can't lose that game.
I might have to bring
And-
that to Gen Con so we can play.
Yeah, and I'm just like literally every time we play it, I win, and I'm like, why am I winning? Like, and no one knows. Like, no one knows what I'm doing. It just accidentally clicked. I mean, you with Race for the Galaxy and stuff, right? Like, there's just games that just click.
Some-
DC Deck Builder.
Some things.
Every game you teach. Like that
The curses we live with.
That's fair.
Love it. All right, Bobby, what do you got, man? I'll throw you on the bus.
Yeah, no, okay. So I don't have my own kids, but I've been
Right.
playing some games with kids recently. I've definitely found that the co-ops definitely help. Like I was saying before, I try to point out their options, but let them make their own decisions. Or like I'll let them make a decision, and be like, okay, that's a good call. You could do that. There's also these you could do. You know, let them make their own. If we lose, we lose. You know, we've
Yeah.
lost a couple of co-op games, and it's like, you know what, we lost together, but we'll try it again, and we can try to win.
what age range?
The ones I play with now are 8 and 15.
Okay.
So
That's
that's
a
a pretty good age.
15's a tactical gamer.
yeah.
There.
Heat, man, when we were doing the Death Eaters Rising, like, it took like 2 or 3 rounds, but then, man, he started soaking it up. He's like, oh, I want to go over here because I want to fight this guy, because if I fight this guy, then I'm going to get one of these, and he really
He's
grabbed
in.
on.
I
He's
was
in.
I was an expert at Stratego when I was 15.
I was
so.
hero questing like a mug. At 15. Yeah.
But like when it comes to adults, like I don't want to be condescending. Like so, like
Right.
smartphone, has like the 2 tablets that are normal, but it also has a difficulty one where it's got like negatives on there. And I'll be like, oh, you guys play with the regular one. I'll play with the challenging one to make it. To me, that just feels like really you put the kid gloves on.
That's
to
a
try
little
to
I
different.
guess.
Yeah.
It depends what you're talking about, though, because I'm for that. Hey, you're that much better at the game than me? Sure, we'll do that, and we'll see what happens.
I just
I'm
I just
for
feels
that.
like it seems like a jerk move.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what
It
I mean?
depends. You have to know your audience for sure with that kind of stuff.
But like I try not to min max. Like when I was like Foundations of Rome, I wasn't trying to min
No,
max.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and, like,
No, I
I
didn't
try to
feel like
point
you
out
were.
these are the ones that get you points, so you want to have them on the board because at the end of each era, those are what's going to score you points, things like that.
I don't think you did a bad job of teaching it.
Yeah.
I think that it was I don't know. It could just be the game. I just need to play the game again.
Yeah, you need to play it a couple more times and figure it out. Because like it really worked out because when somebody else had built a big money thing, and then I built a big money thing close by and put that 2 points for every money thing next to it, and that was just a ton of points
Right,
every era.
Right.
And,
But
yeah,
I don't
that
know
was-
that the other player, like Julia and I, had the knowledge of
To
what was
know-
happening when that
yeah.
was happening.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So there are weird levels of Foundations of Rome because it is so deceptively simple.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like what just happened? You know, not in a bad way, but
Mhm.
just like you're playing the game the way it is meant to be played.
But like other than that though, it's like I don't think I really altered any rules. You know, play together, you win together, lose together.
Right,
You know
right.
that's a big help. I did play some simpler games, the Harry Potter Labyrinth,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one that plays pretty quick. And there's like the Labyrinth game's been around a long time. It's just got different themes on it. The Harry Potter one, just you're going after Harry Potter characters. instead of
Right,
the
right,
other
right.
ones. And I would let the 8-year because he really likes that game, and I would let him make his own decisions, and he was beating me. You
Yeah.
know? But then I wouldn't, after he started winning, I wouldn't kind of hold back. And like sometimes I wouldn't take the most like I'm gonna knock him off the board and just put him in this loop that he can't get out of. That's kind of being a jerk move. And while it's not like the best move for me to accomplish my goal, I could have done that to be a
Oh,
jerk.
Sure.
And I didn't take that move. I would just
Right.
take the move that I'm playing my game. I'm still trying to accomplish my objective.
Right.
I'm just not trying to squash their
Yeah.
objectives.
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know
There,
what I
there's
mean?
also, and this is now going back into the younger,
Yep.
how I was talking about there's kind of an age cutoff thing. This kind of goes to the younger one. But there's also a whole bunch of like psychology stuff out there that just talks about when you're dealing with really young children, acting like everything is positive. right, is huge for them. So if you guys lose like a co-op game, or if they lose a competitive game, it's like really important for you to talk about like, oh man, that was awesome.
well,
that
so-
was so close. you know,
Exactly,
that kind of thing.
exactly, right. The
There's-
kid, you are 100% correct. The kids always feed off of your attitude and your disposition towards,
Right.
towards the thing.
I just know I've read a lot about that. I mean,
So-
it goes into the whole when a kid injures themselves. If you like laugh,
You say,
they
"Oh, that's
tend
okay,
to forget
okay." Yeah.
about
Oh, I'm
the
okay.
fact that they just hurt themselves.
But if you act like,
faster.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
you
are
okay?
you
Like,
okay?
oh, is something wrong?
I-
Is this bad?
I
oh,
hate it.
It shouldn't be sticking out like that.
I hate it anytime, because it's always Clark. Anytime Clark falls down or something and somebody goes, oh my gosh, I'm just like, please shut
Don't
up.
do that.
Yeah.
Because you either just don't acknowledge it,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
like, hey man, come over here, let me see what's up.
exactly.
You know,
That was my daughter.
then he's good. You know, no problem.
Right.
But the second somebody reacts in a weird way, and then it's like, oh, here we go.
Right.
Please, why can't you just be quiet?
Yeah, so when it comes to the younger kids, I think that that's a big thing too, is you understanding how to control your reactions and judge things in the moment to give them a better experience.
Well, and
that kind of
thankfully,
stuff.
like, I think for me, I've been lucky because that's my personality anyways, and my
Right.
approach towards it. Like, oh man, you know, like even when we would get killed at games, it was like that was crazy. Like that was so much fun. That was crazy. Like even when you skunk me at Star Wars Rebellion, right? And it's like, man, this was nuts because this one over here, or when I
That's a lot of
blew
nuts.
when I blew that game in Whitehall Mysteries. But when-
3 turns.
listen, I had an amazing time though. It was so hilarious. I mean, it was such a good story to tell. You
I
know
mean,
what I mean?
you know, it's gonna happen eventually. It's not like you played terribly. We
No,
just-
I
we
took
lucked out.
I took a big risk,
Yeah.
and you guys made the exact right move. But who cares? Like, you know, and so yes, hopefully my kids get that trait, right? You know, what I mean, if I can imbue that in there, where it's like, we're just having fun. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
It's
It's a game.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I try not to get salty when we lose games. You know, I only let it affect my reviews. I'm just kidding. That's true. But I try to, you know, but you try to have a good time, you know, with anything. And so, and you're right. There is a difference between having an experience with a child that is young and you're there to just spend
Hang
time
out
with
with
them
them.
and interact with them
Yeah.
versus, you know, Addie and Mallory are very similar in age, you know, and everything. And so now, like, I'm at the level with Mal when we're playing a game. It's like, no, we're playing.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
don't hold back with Adelaide.
You know, we're
fact-
playing.
She has yet to beat me in several games, and she thankfully still tries.
Right, but she's got that competitive, like,
Yeah.
fire, right? Like, she wants to bring you down.
Yeah. We all do.
So. But no, that's good.
someday, boys.
That's really good. I guess, does anybody else have any other ideas or suggestions?
Not
Or
really. I'm
thoughts
just
to
bouncing off
throw
you
in on
guys
this?
at this
Yeah.
point.
Everybody, I think, has pretty much said everything that.
I mean, I would say, obviously, right, it's all situational. You go off of
Absolutely.
what your own kids' personalities
Yeah,
are.
you know them better
Yeah,
than we
and
do.
I was gonna say, hopefully, yes, you
Hopefully,
know your
yeah.
child well enough
Yeah.
that you know
Yeah.
which tactics work. on
If
them,
not,
you know?
board games are a great opportunity to get to know your child.
Yeah, no, for
And
real.
start with the co-op, so. you
Yeah,
know.
start with the co-op because it's fun to worry about. Also, like blank slate, and that's great for
those
like
are great.
like those
Oh.
word games are good for kids for like learning to
Yeah,
spell.
but then your
and
kid starts
word
writing stuff,
association.
and you're like,
Mallory-
Like, that's not how you
reading,
spell
you
that.
know, you're like, am I raising a serial
Mallory
killer?
loves telestrations.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
because she gets to draw,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and things like that, and even platypus.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, because then
because-
you're like learning adjectives and verbs and
Right.
nouns.
Yeah.
And,
Right,
yeah.
you're putting it together. You know, you're doing all that together.
But I
and-
would also have a caveat as if you know this kind of game is not going to mesh well with them, just don't let them see it.
Yeah, don't play it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
Totally
yeah.
fine.
I've got the Ninja Turtles Shadows of the Past, like the big
Pizza box
fancy
thing.
pizza box version of that miniatures game, and I am just waiting for Clark to be the right age.
You're right.
Because he keeps walking by that and wants to play it because it's Ninja
The
Turtles.
second he's
Yeah,
old
yeah,
enough to
yeah.
play that game, he's gonna
Yeah.
not like Ninja Turtles.
I know!
anymore.
I'm gonna be crushed.
Lame,
And
Dad.
I'll be like, hey guys, we got to do a review for this game that's 10 years old now. Oh, we got to play it. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
It happens.
You know, but yeah, it's kind of
We're
fun.
going to give it the board game rundown bump.
That's it. 2 more people will look it up on BGG.
It's got more views.
But I mean, that's really all I got. Spencer, I think it was a really interesting idea and a topic to discuss. So thanks for,
Yeah, I wonder how
for
you came up with it.
bringing that to.
I wonder too.
Now you're going to go home and crush your daughter. But you guys have been playing, she's playing Return of the Dark Tower with you and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
And then I even
Cooperative.
do the same thing you do with Clark, with Sam. I'll be like, yeah, we're going to play the same character, or I'm going to help you play that character. So
yeah, and you let
I'm not
him.
making
Yeah,
decisions.
play two-handed.
But yeah, I'm like, what do you want to do?
Forehand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Do you
they,
want to go over here? Do you want to go fight this thing? Oh, let's go fight the thing. All right, roll the dice.
And that's one thing I also wanted to bring up. My daughter is obsessed with dragons, and so when we play Return to Dark Tower, she always wants to have the dragons in there,
Right.
and her goal is never to win; it's to beat up the dragons.
Kill the dragons.
oh, sure.
So
That's like if
sometimes-
there's a Titan on the board.
Yeah.
and
yeah,
somebody's goal is to
exactly.
kill the
I
Titan.
wonder where she gets that from.
That's funny.
That's funny. You know, there's a Skyrim board game coming out, and she could be the
Uh-oh.
Dota
Yes.
King. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's another interesting
beats
thing that,
herself
that
up.
happens with kids is sometimes they have a goal.
Yeah.
And it's not the one you thought
And
they
you
had.
just have to be okay with
Yeah,
it
yeah.
being.
You'll
All
go
right,
with it.
you want to
Yep.
go do that thing? Go do the thing.
Well, that
Exactly.
also gives you something to look for in the future. If a game comes out where the whole point
Point
of
is
the
to
game
do
is
that.
to kill dragons,
Yeah,
like,
be like,
you know, that Monster Hunter game is coming out, and you might be like, well,
Yeah. We got a game for you.
you know.
Yeah. Right on. Right on. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think we said all that can be,
Yep.
or at least that we know what to say on it.
You guys, judge us in the comments.
Yeah. What are some of your suggestions? What are your
Oh, that too.
tactics? What do
Yeah.
you do when you are either trying to scale down difficulty for maybe you're trying to get people into games, you know, in-laws or, you know, family members or spouses or girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You know, or you're trying to get your kids to play a game with you, you know? I mean, there's a game for everybody. I really believe that you could get even like my dad. My sister goes to my dad's. My dad doesn't want to play games, you know,
Right.
no
He's too serious
interest.
for that.
But they played America,
Uh-huh.
you know, the trivia game and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
He killed.
I bet.
Oh, and he loved it. He's like, and
You're
I
saying he killed America.
he killed America.
You found
Okay.
him. Person
Um,
responsible.
And I believe they went out and bought the game
Wow.
after they
Nice.
played that with Patrick and Julia
Okay.
because they just like self-flagellation. I
Yeah,
guess.
I guess.
but I mean, I like the game. I like it more than the mind. But
Yeah.
whatever. But anyway, so there's a game really out there for everybody. It's just, you know, talk to people, see what's up. Even if they're not, if it's not a game they like they're playing it, they realize it's not a game they like, keep trying to make it a good experience so then you can play something else. So that's all I got to say.
Cool
All I
beans.
gotta say about that.
All right. Like we
Jenna.
say at the beginning of every show, be sure to follow us on Facebook and
Oh, yeah, and all those
Discord and
things.
all those things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Got the sister
like and
channels.
subscribe.
Yep.
Right? Anything else, guys?
That's it.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
All right. For the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
That was Bob.
Spencer.
Dan.
We should have totally changed all the rules on the intro for this,
Yeah,
just for a different audience.
Yeah.
you're fun.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for checking out the Board Game Rundown. If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share our videos on social media and spread the word. We publish new content weekly, including reviews, unboxing, and Let's Plays. And as always, thanks for watching.